It began with a whisper, faint, barely audible. It crept into the ears of those who ventured too close to Black Hollow, a forest shrouded in perpetual mist. Locals in the nearby town of Greystone spoke of the hollow, hushed tones, warning travelers to steer clear. "It's alive," they said, their eyes darting nervously toward the forest's edge. Sophia didn't believe in legends. As a budding journalist eager to make her mark, she dismissed the warnings as mere superstition. Armed with her camera, a flashlight, and a digital recorder, she ventured into Black Hollow one chilly autumn evening, determined to uncover the truth behind the tales. The forest was silent, save for the crunch of leaves beneath her boots. The towering trees loomed overhead, their twisted branches clawing at the sky. Despite the stillness, Sophia felt as though she was being watched. Shrugging off the unease, she pressed deeper into the woods. As dusk gave way to night, the whispers began. At first, they were indistinct, like the rustling of leaves. Then, they grew clearer, fragmented words slipping through the shadows. "Leave, turn back, lost." Sophia froze, her flashlight sweeping across the trees. The beam illuminated nothing unusual, yet the whispers persisted, surrounding her from all sides. She tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was the wind or distant voices carrying through the night. But as she continued, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. The words took on a sinister tone, each syllable dripping with malice. "Sophia." She stopped dead in her tracks. The sound of her name, uttered in a guttural rasp, sent chills racing down her spine. The beam of her flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. Panic bubbled in her chest, but she forced herself to remain calm. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. No response, only silence. Then, the laughter began. It was low and haunting, echoing through the trees like a taunt. Sophia's breaths quickened as she spun around, trying to pinpoint its source. Her camera, hanging around her neck, clicked involuntarily, as though capturing moments she couldn't see. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw movement. A shadow darted between the trees, too fast to follow. Her flashlight flickered again, and for a brief moment, she thought she saw a figure. Tall, gaunt, its face obscured by darkness, it seemed to beckon her deeper into the hollow. Against every instinct screaming at her to run, Sophia followed. She told herself it was curiosity, the promise of a story too good to pass up. But deep down, she knew something was pulling her forward, something she couldn't resist. The whispers grew deafening, overlapping voices crying out in anguish and rage. The trees seemed to close in, their branches reaching for her like skeletal hands. Her flashlight died completely, plunging her into darkness. Desperation clawed at her as she fumbled for her phone, its weak light offering little comfort. "Sophia," the voice called again, closer this time. She turned and saw a figure standing mere feet away. Its eyes glowed in a natural shade of yellow, piercing through the gloom. Its face was a grotesque mask of decay, a hollow grin stretched impossibly wide. In its hand, it held a tattered notebook, its pages fluttering despite the still air. Sophia stumbled back, her scream caught in her throat. The figure stepped closer, its movements unnaturally jerky, like a marionette on tangled strings. It extended the notebook toward her, its grin widening. Compelled by an unseen force, Sophia reached out and took it. The moment her fingers brushed the worn cover, the whisper stopped. The forest fell into an oppressive silence, broken only by the sound of her ragged breathing. She opened the notebook. The pages were filled with scribbled entries, names and dates, each accompanied by a single word, "Taken." Her blood ran cold as she reached the final page. Scrawled in crimson ink was her own name, followed by today's date. A cold hand gripped her shoulder. She turned, but there was nothing there. The whispers returned, louder than ever, a cacophony of torment that drowned out her screams. The townsfolk found her camera days later, lying at the edge of Black Hollow. The footage showed only darkness, punctuated by Sophia's terrified whispers. The last frame was a blurry image of her face, twisted in horror, as she was pulled into the shadows. No one ventured into Black Hollow again.